Leadership, flashing with excellence.
They shine bright everywhere we go. Music for the people, making music for the people. Light shine bright everywhere we go. Light shine bright everywhere we go.
Leadership, vivacious, full of success and beauty.
Everywhere we go. Music for the people, making music for the people.
Here is our latest details, independent of politics, the James A. Hendricks School of Leadership.
Live is Fearless Faith Friday. You don't know how much, and it's still, I tell you what, this still might be part of my series anyway. In fact, I think we're going to go ahead and do that, okay? You are co-captain of your purpose. You're probably thinking, what's it got to do with faith? First of all, a little housekeeping note. I'm not going to verify the source. Some of these sources. I just say a little birdie told me that there's only 2 House seats up for grabs, and Republicans are leading at both. We can be grateful. It looks good. It looks good. Now, here's what's up. If you're willing to listen. For the past few days or so, I have really been grappling with some serious issues of a personal nature. You know, and I'm not going to go into any of the particular details. And my best friend came over to kind of supervise some of the Thanksgiving cooking while, you know, his wife was out shopping for some things for Thanksgiving dinner. And so I was known to complain to him about some aspects of my personal life. And finally, you know, like a warm best friend, but also with a good critical eye, he had to be firm with me. He's like, okay, Jimmy, I don't get you. What's wrong with you? Seriously, man. You know these problems are recurring. They always keep popping up. But what you need to focus on is how close you are to stepping into your purpose. And you need to realize that you're in the captain's seat. And you need to take the bull by the horns. And at least be grateful of this Thanksgiving, okay? Don't let that other stuff get you down. He was pretty firm about it, though. You know, he's like, not me. I was like, it's okay, man. It's okay. I understand you're hurt. You know, try to offer some advice. But I really think I need to hear his firm hand. You know, when my father's had to do that a few times. Okay, Jimmy, so you're depressed. What are you going to do about it? And it's funny, I woke up this morning depressed. I don't know what it is. The past few weeks, wake up and depressed and going to Heavenly Father, and he says, well, you got the tools. What are you going to do? See, that's the thing. Yes, he's the captain, but you're the co-captain, and so yes, he'll help, but he's leaving a lot of the grunt work up to you. I like pastor and financial theologian Gary K. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just call him Gary K. All right. Here and after on this show and some other podcasts, Gary K. And one of the things he teaches is, that the Lord says all over the New Testament that the kingdom is ours. But That doesn't mean just sitting there and waiting for God to do for us. What vehicle are we going to use to let God's kingdom shine through on us? We have to have the requisite faith, and we have to have the requisite action. And I don't know why I didn't write it down. I was sitting there Thanksgiving, and everybody was watching their little TV on their phones, and I kind of felt like odd man out. And so I have what's known as a digital talking book player. Where I'm not really tethered to a dang phone. Sometimes my phone signal gets down, and I have to do that. But I was also listening to this guy, and I thought, something popped in my head saying, hey, you need to ask for personal revelation about your finances, right? Okay, so now listen to me. I want you to picture this. It's an evening takeoff. The pilot has already established the parameters in his kingdom. And then he handles over the throttle controls for takeoff and flight. And he says, now you know what to do. What are you going to do? See, and I'm going to say this as a political commentator. So many people expect God, like government, to be like a celestial Coke machine and answer our needs. Shortly before Thanksgiving dinner, I got into a heated debate with my best friend. And he said it would be nice to have $2 million, and yet the government care for all bills. Now, I could understand maybe to some degree he was coming from, but at the same time, I was kind of like, dang. If I was a millionaire, I'd want to take responsibility myself instead of handing it over to the government. You think the government is responsible for taking care of our individual bills? No. We keep printing money and put it and put things into the ground. But then again, you see what I mean. We as Americans need to quit putting our destinies into the hands of politics and government alone. What we need to do is put it in the hands of the Almighty God. He logs in the parameters, and then He gives us the launching orders. You understand? Now I want you to think about this from every Fearless Faith Friday between now and I think December 12th. I'm going to go on a little vacation from podcasting. I'll drop in every once in a while, but at the same time, I'm thinking, unless I decide otherwise. If I decide otherwise, then you'll know. But I want you to think about it for the next 2 weeks. Where can we put the destiny back in our own hands? Because we can sit there and complain all that we want. And it's easy to do that, the way this world is. It's like I tell my best friend and his wife, and I keep telling them, seriously, y'all, watch your news consumption. You start worrying and seeing the news. Because my best friend's wanting to start his ministry with atoms and stuff. And he was seeing all the stuff on the news about U.S.-China relations and U.S.-Russian relations. And This Fearless Faith Friday, I want to give you guys some hope. God plus you equals a majority. Now, my friend Brad used to tell me that for years and years. And you know what? This is where I give you hope. He was right. God rest his soul. Brad died in 2021. I kind of wish that I could have found a way to reconcile our friendship, but things were just too far gone. And it's sad. But I will say this. The Lord loves us. And He is the captain of our destiny. But I also believe that He gives us what's known as moral agency when it comes to spiritual matters. And in temporal matters, He gives us free agency. Now, this doesn't mean necessarily do what we want, but it means, do what we want within reason of His parameters. Okay? We can sit there and moan and be sad because of all the things that's going on in the world. Plus how Biden's doing what he's doing. Okay, I understand. But guys, come on, we just had Thanksgiving. Okay, come on. Don't be so cotton picking. Pathetic, okay? This is idiotic. It's idiotic and you know better. Sit there and fart around, well, this pundit there said, and that pundit said. Someone may have a fancy, swanky education. But they're no different than we are. The only difference is this show acknowledges God. Okay? Every Friday, you know this, I take off from talking about news, I take off from talking about leadership, to talk about matters of faith. To give you guys hope. I've said this over and over again, and I was talking to a friend of mine from church as she was helping me, assemble a financial plan, and, help me put together a dish for Thanksgiving dinner. And I told her that I wasn't a lot of people on talk radio, just a provocateur. Okay? I'm not. Y'all should know by now that I'm not. I'm just a simple, countrified man just trying to give you hope. You can turn on the radio down and podcasts, and people just tell you that we're in a scary tradition. Okay. Yes, it's normal maybe to feel scared. But I also think that without God, we have reason to be scared. I'm going to tell you something that happened when I was 13 years old. This is the dinner table. It was me and my uncle. And, my uncle and I were, the same age, 13 years old. And my grandfather. My uncle and I were debating about the Cold War. I was real scared back then. And I said, I was thinking, hoping, believing that it wasn't going to take off. Because people around school, people say, well, Master Thomas says this, and Master Thomas says that. And this has happened, and that's happened. And it's something. Granddad reaches behind his table, and he takes out his Bible. And he says, boys, I want to tell you something. Man's been predicting for years how they're going to destroy the world. He said, that's not man's job. They can't destroy the world. God will. When his time is right. And he's going to protect us. He's going to protect his own. And see, I've held on to that. Because you see, don't get me wrong. I love to analyze news. But anymore, I think the majority is just shock value. Get scared or get pissed. And I get tired of having to analyze crap like that. I didn't create this political show to continually get people scared and pissed. I was real reluctant about doing that. But I felt the urge to try to do it again. I would like for this show to last. Even if there's blocks of times when I don't cover the news. Because the thing is, I want to give you guys hope. Rush Limbaugh, I remember when I was a kid, I felt like I had to be kept up to date with the latest news and have him, basically say what was going on in Washington, D.C., and blah, 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 blah. And to be honest with you, I think Rush at times intentionally talked more about his life and life lessons than just what was going on in Washington, D.C., because maybe he was overwhelmed in the brain about it and didn't want other people to feel the same way. Because I know some of you're probably thinking, with the suspension from covering news, some of you are claiming, Jimmy, I thought you was going to stick to the issues and stick to the issues and then try to analyze the news. Okay, I get that. Some of you are clamoring for that. You'll get that in January. Okay? Not before. Because quite frankly, hey, it doesn't matter how the election is going to go. The news media and pundits on both sides of the aisle are going to hiss and moan because in some ways they didn't get their way. And as far as conservatives doing that, I really have to be honest with you. Shame on you. Okay? Let me tell you something. Let's say I got something, that I wanted. In my grandma and granddad's house. But I hissed and moaned because it wasn't exactly the way I wanted it. I know what my grandfather would say. Okay, boy, so you just sit there and cry and have a hissy? You got what you want. Why don't you just do something with it? Quit sitting there and wilding in a pool of tears about something that's, you didn't get exactly the way you want. Now, I didn't do that too much after I was almost 12 years old. I was almost 12 years old when I quit moping and whining because I wasn't getting exactly the way I want. And instead, I got to where I'd much rather sit at the table and listen to my granddad talk about politics, about the Bible, about history. And Granddad had a lot of wonderful ideas. And see, that's one thing he was trying to teach me is you are the co-captain of your purpose. God gives you marching orders. Because let me tell you something. If you don't surrender your life to God, how can He be the captain? Without His marching orders, you don't have hope. You can't take off the plane, and if you take it off, wrong bearings, you're going to crash. Okay, so that's why I do these Heroes Faith Fridays, okay? I could sit there and analyze the news any day of the week. But you know what? After a while, people start getting scared. I mean, people start getting scared or pissed off. And next thing you know, guess what? They're going to tune me out. I'll be just like any other pundit or commentator. Okay. Listen, the last moments I have together. I'm not a pundit. I'm not. I'm not. And you say, well, what would you call yourself? I'm not a pundit. I'm not an expert. I'm an authority. I'm your advisor. I'm your consultant on conservative federalist principles. And my platform of conservative federalism deals with the ideology and principles that's set forth in the Bible, in the scriptures, the wisdom ideology, which I talked about last summer in my flagship podcast show, Empower Your Pattern. Okay, and that wisdom ideology is, you read the Proverbs, you read, almost anything in scripture that can give you wisdom on how to run a country or run a company or whatever. And that is the roadmap. That's the marching orders, okay? And you read your marching orders every day, and you act on it. Okay, so let's not play games here. It's easy to want that, okay? I get that. But guys, please, come on. We're going to sit there and hiss and moan during the holiday seasons about how hard it is with the recession. I have to agree with this conservative country singer who's been a big sensation on YouTube, who says, yes, times are hard, but we've got to learn to laugh. You know what? Even in some of the deepest recessions, when I lived with my daddy, let me tell you something, times might have been hard. One thing I didn't know about my daddy, you better learn to take a joke even when times are hard. You better learn how to take a joke when times are hard. You got to be able to joke around and have a little fun. Because all work and no play makes Jimmy a dull boy. Especially in dealing with this dang culture we got right now. We're at war with the soul of America, and we need to start fighting fair, okay? Let's stop playing the same crappy games that the liberals are. Okay? And so that's the thing. And I'm hoping that this wisdom just seeps down into your soul for the rest of this Thanksgiving week. And then tomorrow I'll come back. We're going to have a weekend edition, continuing the more leadership. And I hope you guys love this, okay? And I hope this seeps to your very soul, that this gives you some chance to really think before you just react on what all the pundits are saying. I'm just using my wisdom from Texas Tech University, and I hope and knowing the Lord, and I hope it helps you, okay? Now, I hope you enjoy listening to the James A. Hendricks School of Leadership. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, become a part of the James A. Hendricks School of Leadership classroom. This is Jimi Hendrix saying until next time, take care and be proactively informed. Tomorrow, you're in for a treat. My BS meter, my rhetorical BS meter. I'm not even going to tell you what I'm going to use it on. I just want you to take care and be proactively informed. God bless you guys. God bless you guys.